Hello, this is Jefferson Alders from givingisgood.org. Today we have with us Tommy Saxon, who works and helps run, because he's going to tell you a little story about how their division of a very large local nonprofit called Mission Arlington, which is all over Arlington, does a crazy amount of work for tons and tons of apartment complexes. I know they work in about 350 apartment complexes. But Tommy and the group of guys that they work with, and the reason why I wanted to highlight what they do is because he is not a 501c3. He is helping in a division of a 501c3 that's large and substantial. But what they do with a group of guys and friends, a bunch of people that I know, they all do bikes for kids. And they basically call it Bikes, a division of Mission Arlington. And then they've been doing it for a very long time. And for how many, 12 years?
Just 12 years.
12 years. Yeah. So when you think about, hey, a group of businessmen, I mean, everybody owns a company or works in a big company or has a small company, entrepreneurs, right. And they all come together every year and they just keep doing and they keep helping and they keep bringing happiness to kids with bicycles that would normally never get a bicycle. Right. I mean, these kids, they get, a lot of them get nothing for Christmas that Mission Arlington and that group of incredible humans, Miss Tilly, yes, can bring to that part of the community. Mm-hmm. Tell everybody a little bit about how it got started, what the group of guys is like, kind of the mechanics, the logistics, and then we'll kind of dive into how somebody can get involved and what they can do to help.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. And again, thanks for letting me share the story because it's really kind of unique and interesting, and I love it. So what happened really 12 years ago, two families got together and they had aging kids. They were still in school, but they said, we want to do something impactful for Christmas, for our family, for our own kids. And they went to Miss Tilly and said, what could you guys use? And they said, well, a bike. We get people that ask for bikes all the time. So okay. So they went to dinner and they told their kids, they said, what if we do this? What if you sacrifice one present this year and instead we'll go and buy a bike and then you can take it to Mission Arlington and give it.
They pitched this to the kids.
They pitched it to the kids.
To their own kids.
They had to get buy-in.
Yeah.
And they did. And they said, okay, we're in. And after Christmas, around New Year's, whatever, they say, hey, what was your favorite part about the holidays or Christmas this year? And they said, doing the bikes. They gave 6 bikes that year, brand new bikes.
2 families.
Yep.
6 bicycles.
That's it. Three kids apiece. So
yeah.
six kids.
Yeah.
So the next year they, went to a couple other families, friends, and said, hey, here's what we did. It was really fun. Let's do it again. And it just started growing. And so the next year, it was like 20 bikes. And then we got multiple families. We kind of met up in the parking lot and had donuts and we caravanned over, just, hey, we'll drive together. We'll dump them all off and hit 50 bikes. And
y'all were like, holy moly, 50 bikes. Yeah. Dude, we started with 6.
Yeah, right. This is getting serious. Yeah. And so, but you just kept going and you just get more and more people involved and people would see it. And then we had, the police said, hey, we'll give you a little police escort. How about that? And so, we kind of called it a parade. And even though it was a handful of families and whatnot, and then it, we hit over 100 bikes. And then the next thing last year we delivered over 2,600 bikes.
2,600 bicycles.
Right.
For kids.
For kids.
All over Arlington. And there's some outerlying areas.
Outside of Arlington.
Yeah, kind of that. There's parts of Fort Worth that some of this stuff goes to. Kids that most of them, from what I understand, a lot of them literally don't get anything for Christmas. But they're getting not used bikes.
No.
These are all brand new bikes, correct?
That's right. And so I think it's kind of the other unique part because, for an individual like me as a father, I love the fact that my kids are starting to learn about maybe a sacrifice, maybe giving, in some small way through sacrifice in a present or just simply helping us load and move bikes from one place to another. but they see it. They see other people, like they see their orthodontist walking a bike into the barn, and it just all of a sudden it just starts bringing this thing. So it's been an amazing community effort, and an amazing opportunity. But the other piece is what's going on the back end is, you're right, these kids and these families, quite frankly, would never get a new gift. Right. Certainly not a new bike. Right. And and we get bikes of all sizes, shapes. I mean, some that have training wheels, up to some that look like something you or I would ride. Sure. But what's happening is, in some instances, these bikes are literally the transportation
for families,
for the family, for that child, and maybe he's a high school age child, to get to work, to help provide for that family. Sure. There's a story of one bike that was gifted to a family, and they only got one, even though there's multiple kids in the family. And so they walk to school every day, and it's a long walk. It's not a community. It's not right around the corner. So the teacher actually saw one of the students, and he was giving his brother a ride on his bike. Sure. Dropped him off, turned around, went back, picked up his other kid. So it became their way that they could get to school. Wow. And they said they always were tardy. They're always late. And part of it is just because they have so far to walk.
And the one brother's going and getting the rest of the young group.
And he's transporting his brothers and sisters to school on a bike that was gifted by Mission Arlington.
Did somebody go and give the rest of the kids bikes?
We need more bikes.
They did.
We need more bikes. Yeah. So that's the one thing is, so everyone, they can't just come and grab them. It's not just, hey, here we are. Everyone that receives a bike has been run, and that's one of the reasons why we're kind of partnering and running it through Mission Arlington, is because they're so good at what they're doing and how they do it. But every one of these kids and families has literally, someone has sat down with them. They've heard the gospel, they've heard the Christmas story, and then there's follow-up after the fact. So when these bikes are taken to their apartment complexes or to their home or wherever they may be, someone knows that who they're giving it to. They know that it's been requested, it's been vetted, and they follow up on what's going on with it.
There's a backup system, and a lot of times, as we talk to different nonprofits and orgs, we find out that the key structure in all nonprofits is what happens after you give a family something, or you help them with food, or you help them, with simple sustenance items, clothing, and things like that. Survival. The true help is the ongoing and the following up help. And that's really where Mission Arlington has been, they've been going for years and years. Right. When I was in college, I went and did some time, I want to say it was 2 full semesters helping out. So Mission Arlington's been around a while. I'm not young.
Right. 1986. I mean, that's. So they've been around. It's incredible what they've built.
And it keeps growing.
Yeah. But like I say, this is the 12th year on the bike. Well, I'll tell you another great story. So just last night, we were moving some bikes. So what we've started to do is the whole, at its core, this is a community event. Yeah. We show up the second Saturday of every December, and at the parking lot, the big parking lot on Park Road, which is between Pantego Christian Academy, Saldro's Pizza, Gospel City Church. I mean, in that area, there's a parking lot there, and right kind of in the central Arlington area. And we show up at 9 o'clock, and we have no idea who's showing up, how many families, and what they'll have with us. And it keeps growing. But it's always that exciting thing of, you think anyone's going to show up. And it's been raining, and we've had icy days, and we've had beautiful days. But we never really know. But at the core, I mean, that's what it is to me, is seeing how the community will come together and just be willing to give. Because who doesn't, remember their very first bike and what that, right. And we all do.
It's such a big deal as a kid.
Absolutely. And so it's a huge moment, but like I say, this has so much meaning to it. But one of the things that we also have done is, because some organizations have come together, churches in and around Arlington, There's a few businesses in and around Arlington that have said, how can we be a part of this? And so they have given us funds to go and purchase bikes. So
I want to add this part,
Sure.
just because that's personal to me, the business side of it. So I'm a lender in one of those businesses,
Right.
Keller Williams, Arlington, long time, big, huge office. They have a big push inside that community of realtors. That is a big thing. It's talked about for about 3 or 4 months, and then the agents all jump in. It's interesting to watch from a business perspective. You have this huge family of agents, and they all go and get bikes, and that is I want to say they have a goal of 100 or 200 every year, and sometimes more, but they try to put on a really big show. To really, their goal is to let's be the business with the most bikes.
Right.
If you could get a bunch more businesses around Arlington to get together and put together a bunch more bikes and have a bunch more bikes there. I mean, at some point, you're going to be crossing over and having to get bikes to Fort Worth. And I mean, there's so many impoverished areas where kids, when they really need a gift for Christmas.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. And I don't know. Mission Arlington, by name really is Mission Metroplex. So their reach is certainly outside of the borders of Arlington. And so in some instances, we very easily, I know they're in Grand Prairie for sure, but how much is going into Fort Worth? Are there any locations in Dallas that they're connected in? Quite frankly, I'm sure.
No telling. Right?
There's no telling, and certainly
Miss Tilly knows where stuff needs to go.
And people know her, and that and so it's well known. But you're right. But the good news is as companies hear about it and they see, hey, this is a great way for us to be involved in the community, that our employees can get their arms around and kind of see it tangibly, be a part of the parade, not be part of the parade, whatever the case may be. Sure. It all works, but it helps. But what I was going to tell you, so last night we had, because we had some of these funds, we purchased some bikes ahead of time, and so we were doing a load last night. Uh-huh. And we had a handful of flatbed trucks that we were loading as we were getting them away from, retailer, which just happened to be Walmart, which has been a great partner for us, quite frankly. It really, they've been unbelievable. Yeah. And so we picked up a lot of bikes last night, and we had a guy that was driving one of the flatbed trucks. And he was relatively quiet, didn't say a whole lot. And at the end, we're like, hey, thank you, because he was volunteering his time. Sure. Thank you for that. And he said, well, no, I'm happy to do it. He goes, to be quite honest with you, he goes, I was a recipient of one of these gifts before. He's a young guy. Yeah. And so he had received.
Could have been 10 years ago, and he got a bike.
But and so the whole time, he never said anything up front, but at the very end, when we went up, and I mean, it still kind of gives me chills just to think, and it was just impactful to him. I think it was impactful that whole night last night as he just saw and was witnessing. I think it was neat for him just to see, like, this is what was going on, and this is at the heart level what was happening. He
didn't see any of that before. He was just a recipient. Yeah. Dude, I got a bicycle. I'm a kid, and I need. I got a bicycle for the first time.
He was just happy to get a bike. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. So it was really neat. Yeah.
Man. What do you think, I assume every year you try to set a goal or you put a goal out there, whether it be on y'all's, now do y'all have a website?
We do.
And y'all have a Facebook page?
We do, okay. Yeah. Bikesformissionarlington.org, okay. The website, yep. And then the Facebook page, if you Bikes for Mission Arlington, and it comes up, and there's a couple of event pages that show up. But like I say, it's the second Saturday of every December, that's set. So that's just it. Because the date moves, but it's always that second Saturday of December.
What's interesting about this is, I think from a child's perspective, you and I can talk about, hey, as you teach your children to give, the concept, some people it's the concept of tithing, some people it's the ability to give, some people take their kids to shelters and show them, take them through, feeding people and to teach children what's going on really in the world when a lot of our children are so blessed. It's crazy, right? think about as that child goes with you to Walmart, buys a bicycle, they get to pick it out, they get to walk it over to the cashier, they load it into the truck, and then they get to walk it into the parking lot to go. It's not some, hey, we wrote a check for something. It's a physical thing that they understand, that they like. You know, it's that experience of giving something that makes sense to a child, them being a part of it, and knowing, hey, this is going to go to another kid like you who would never get one. You know, I love that what do you call that? That lesson. That's a life lesson at a very young age.
Right.
You know?
Well, and like I said, that's one of the things that has kind of struck me as over the years is and you never really know, you know, like say it's impactful to kids because they get it. They really do. Yeah. It's also impactful. We've also have, you know, sometimes men, women, whoever, you know, the adults that are parents that maybe are empty nesters. And they see this and they're like, how can I be involved? And they're just, all of a sudden they're now on our committee.
They're buying 10 bikes.
Well, you know, or whatever they want to do. And they are our best ambassadors. And you never really know who it hits and why it hits them. Right. But there's a whole lot of reasons. A lot of times it somehow points back to, I remember when I was a kid and we didn't have much, but I got that bike and I didn't think I was going to get a bike. And it meant so much for them. It meant some freedom. It meant I don't know, but it strikes people in different ways.
It brings up an emotion.
It really does. And they just, you know, the concept of, like I said, being, you know, the conduit to be that one that can say, hey, just one. I mean, we get caught up in the numbers, and I'll tell you, we set a goal every year, but we've kind of also had this mantra this year of just one more, you know, because one more, we don't even know what represents who it's going to end up with, and what kind of impact it could have. I mean, beyond it, we know it'll put a smile on a kid's face. Sure. That's enough. Yeah. But we don't know what other impact that could be, you know, because when you see the bikes delivered, I mean, the families, I mean, there's tears. They're overjoyed because they know they couldn't, you know, most of the people that
they know it's a blessing.
They know it's a blessing, and you know, we don't know how God's going to use that blessing beyond that. But it's just, you know, and that's why it's like we get caught up in our numbers sometimes because it's like, how can we make this and keep growing?
People. Yeah, you know, hey, there's a goal. Let's you know, let's produce. Let's try to hit a number, and you want to put a number out there for people because there are people that could give 10 bikes that might only give one, but if you put a big number, they go, oh, well, let's just get 10. We're shooting for 3,000 next year. Let's do 10 bikes. Right. You know, there's a lot of people that can afford it. There's a lot of people that want to do it too. You know, okay, let's talk about, do people buy boxes of bikes, bring them to y'all, and then you guys have to put them together? Do people put them together? Walk us through the mechanics of, or is it, we don't care how you get the bikes, because they're not used bikes. We need to clarify that. These are new bikes, right? Yeah. But walk everybody through the mechanics of, here's what we do, here's what we need, we know it's the second Saturday of December, just so it's super simple and clear.
Right. Ideally, these are brand new assembled bikes.
Assembled.
Yes, and they can be boys, girls, big, small.
Don't care.
We really do not care. I will say the bigger the better, because we end up a lot of times with smaller. But the other thing is, the bigger ones can be passed down. The little ones with training wheels, they usually can't really be passed down to anyone, and so they just, but there's still value because there's some of those kids. But yes, so typically we want them assembled. If we can't deliver them in a box, even though those would be brand new, so because we just don't know if they have the ability to even
put them together,
absolutely any of it. So every bike that goes out is ready to roll. It's assembled and things of that nature. And so, like I say, on Saturday, the second Saturday of December.
Did y'all just have it, or is it?
No,
coming?
It's coming. It's this Saturday. Yeah.
We might go get some bikes.
Yeah. So it's on that Saturday, people can, and we have it both ways. People literally will show up that morning and they want to be a part of the whole parade. So we usually we'll congregate there for about 30 minutes. We'll have a little bit of, a talk. It's just kind of a community type thing, and then we'll load up and we'll parade with with police and fire truck escort, and we'll parade through, through Arlington over to Mission Arlington, and then we'll drop them off. And then typically people run through, take your bike in, and then park, and then come and gather, and we'll get a final count for the day. Miss Tilly will be there, and she always addresses the crowd, and we're done. And so we are normally done by 11 o'clock. So it's kind of it's a 2-hour deal. Sometimes people make the front end, the back end, whatever the case may be. But that's really, and sometimes we'll get people that just show up and they say, hey, I can't make anything else, but here's
the bike.
Here's a bike.
Please take it.
And we will always have trucks available just to load them in, or a flatbed to throw it on. Yeah. But that's how. And so, so we will take them that way. And then obviously some people just choose to say, hey, we've raised money, or we will, I'd like to donate money. So we have one group of men, and they're wonderful. Their name is the Rusty Zippers.
Rusty Zippers.
It's a good name. Now they're all seniors.
That's classic.
It's really great. And they get together for breakfast once a week, and they throw $1 or so in the pot for every breakfast. And then at the end of the year, they give us what's in it, that pot.
That's hilarious.
To go and buy bikes.
However much money they want to put in, they just keep tallying it somebody keeps it every month, and then eventually at the end of the year it's built up. How simple.
It's so great, yeah. But that's the way that they do it. But the Rusty Zippers have been faithful supporters now for several years, and that we always end up meeting them in November for.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
How many groups of guys meet around? They need to start a national Rusty Zipper Foundation that does that same concept. That's hilarious.
Great. Yeah. So we will certainly take money in that manner. There's a donation link on the website where people can donate if they don't want to be a part of securing their bike, or if that's a challenge to go and get a bike. But we love it when people show up with a bike. And also we end up with a bunch of different looking bikes, which is great. That's actually better, because a lot of times when we buy bulk buys, we end up with a bunch of bikes that look exactly the same, which is fine. But
because some of them they're probably moving last year's inventory, because bike companies are like all companies. They have new models, and they give you discounts if you buy 50 of this bike, etc. Which is okay. That's fantastic. So if you are at home and that emotion of getting your first bike means something to you, and you want to get involved with Bikes of Mission Arlington, and you're somewhere in the Metroplex and you see this and you go, how simple. For 2 hours on the second Saturday of December, you can meet in the parking lot that's at Park Row and what?
It's basically Park Row and, it's basically Park Row and Bowen almost,
Park Row and Bowen.
It's the closest main intersection.
And this year, what are y'all thinking? How many think could show up? 2,600 last year at one time for bicycles. How many think this year?
We're shooting for 3,000.
Could be 3,000. We won't know until you get through the event. But think about 3,000 bicycles. And now I cycle, so I know what, like if you go to what the Hotter Than Hell looks like when you've got 10,000 cyclists and 15,000 cyclists. It's about a mile long, and it's just packed for, like hundreds of yards across. 3,000 bicycles in a parking lot with people ready to get in a caravan and go and give those bicycles away. That's pretty awesome.
Right. No, that's right. It's great
to see it and be a part of it.
Well, and just this year, we will pass early our 10,000th bike that we've given away. Yeah. But like I said, I think we'll hit 3,000 just this year alone. So like I say, when you go from 6, it has started to stack on itself. And when we jump from 150 to say 400, and then we had 400, we went to 800. It just
doubled.
When you just start seeing just the more people that talk about it, it's hard to find someone that gets angry about giving a bike to a kid.
I mean, it's such a simple concept, and everybody sees the benefit. You know, there really probably isn't anybody that goes, I'm not going to give a bicycle. I mean, everybody goes, of course I'll give a bicycle. You know, and today's prices on bicycles, you literally can go to Walmart, Academy, Target. Those bikes are like $80-$90 a piece, $100, $120, and you can buy a nice bicycle. That industry is so low because that stuff's being spread out and built all over the world and shipped in here. It's incredible how cheap bicycles are in America.
It is.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of, you know.
Which has helped with
for what you guys are doing, you know, prices are down. We're giving away a bunch more bikes.
Get some more. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You know, and that's the only other thing I would say is, you know, as it relates to us and what we're doing. I mean, again, obviously, if you bring a bike and donate a bike, then it's clear. I mean, it's dollar for dollar. You know where your dollar is going. Anyone that gives us, donates money, 100%, because there is no operating cost. Anything that we do, if we want to buy something with a logo on it, or if we need to rent a truck or whatever, we do that at our own personal expense. So
it's a one-time event. It's a one annual event. It's a big group of business guys that are just, this is part of their heart, their ministry, their way of giving back. It's one fun event. It's super cool, you know? And it's unique, and it's another way that it's such a simple way to give. And that's really, you know, those are the things that Giving is Good is looking for, to show people all you gotta do is go to Walmart, buy a bike, show up, and bless people. You know,
just enjoy it.
And it's, you know, $80, $90, $100. You buy them, they're already built. You just pull them off the rack, you know, push it out the store. If you need to buy a smaller one, you can put it in a little car, you know?
Right. That's right.
You know, it ain't rocket science.
It's not.
Yeah. But what a blessing. That's I really appreciate you coming. Thank you. Thank you for telling us about it. There are a lot of people that'll see this and go, that's simple. Even I can do that. You know?
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Hey, I hope y'all hit 3,000 this year and 10,000 next year.
Right.
You know, because kids are going to keep growing and they're going to keep needing bicycles, so it's not like it's going to go away.
It's not going away.
That's know, and you could probably never have enough.
That's what Miss Tilly tells us.
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. She keeps saying we need more.
Well, Tommy, thank you. There will be a link to their website and their Facebook page once the videos are up and loaded, and everybody can see and get ready to, you know, get involved with Bikes for Mission Arlington or Mission Metroplex, and super easy.
It's great.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks. Appreciate it.